Another important feature of the Tivatrainer is the possibility to copy-paste between simulations. We start with a propofol simulation, and this time we're going to start with the marsh model, which is the model that is in the deep diffuser and in many other target controlled infusion systems. To select it, patient data screen, leave it unchanged at the moment, and we're in the simulation screen. Now, instead of giving a bolus and infusion, I'm going to give a target controlled infusion. In order to do that, I changed the mode, which can be done by this configuration button, and I'm going to change from manual to target controlled infusion. You can see here the sign for target controlled infusion is displayed. Now, if I now input data, I'm not going to input any direct drug dosing, but I'm going to input a target, which you can see is done over here. Let's go for target of 4, and if I confirm this, then you see a target controlled infusion, initial high dose, and then a slowly decreasing infusion rate. Now, if you want to give a presentation and you want to make clear that there is a really decreasing infusion rate, you can change all the time the scaling of your axis. It can be done on both sides, and you can see that by scale this in, it's more clear that the infusion rate is going down over time. Now, switch that a little bit back. Now, why that is of course because the 3-compartment model requires more drug in the beginning than later on, and we can see that here, that in the beginning, when everything is empty, then you need a high infusion rate to load the central compartment to 4, and then while the other compartments are slowly filling, you need less and less drug to keep the central compartment at the same concentration. This is the basic principle of target controlled infusion. Now, what you miss here is the pharmacodynamic button, because there's no linkage between the marsh model and a pharmacodynamic model. But there is in the Elefant model, and we can use the copy-paste function to show what the pharmacodynamic from the Elefant model would predict if you would use the marsh model. In order to do that, we load another graph. In this case, the Elefant model. Select this, leave the patient data the same, and we change the Elefant model also in TCI mode. You can see over here, and if I press long in the marsh model, I will get a copy-paste possibility. I copy here the data, copy to clipboard it says, and I paste it here, and you can see that the targets have been copied from one simulation to the other. Now, the amount of drug given in the Elefant model for this patient is less than is given in the marsh model. You can see that if I draw this a little bit over time, you can see that the difference between the models in terms of dose given, drug given, is quite remarkable. 35 mils in the marsh model, 31 mils in the Elefant model. But I can look at it at a different way. We reset the data in the Elefant model, and we're going to change the Elefant model from TCI to manual. And we're again going to copy paste and copy these data and paste it here. But instead of pasting the targets, now the amount of drug given by the Marsh model is pasted to the Eleveld model. And the Eleveld model calculates what it thinks it will be the concentration when it would give the same amount of drug in the same time frame as the Marsh model. And you can see that this is that the targets are now different because this is a manual mode, but that the concentration now differs from the Marsh model. A higher peak and a somewhat slower increase of the effect. Well, the reason for that is that if you look at the Eleveld model, the tree compartment, you can see there's a relatively small central compartment. So if you give the same kind of drug as in the Eleveld model, then the concentration will appear to be higher in the Eleveld model. If we look at the propofol, we can see there's a bigger central compartment. Now, whether or not this is because the Marsh model is relying on venous data instead of arterial data is not completely clear, but there is certainly a difference between these two models. But because I pasted the amount of drug in the Marsh model to the Eleveld model, I can now look at the pharmacodynamics and I can see what the pharmacodynamics are when I use the Marsh model, because the amount of drug is now the same between the two models. And this is the prediction of the effect when you use the pharmacodynamics of the Eleveld model. So this is an important feature of the Tivatrainer, copy and paste, but you can imagine you can also copy and paste amounts of drug between two simulations and for example simulate what happens if you make a mistake and put your remifentanil in your TCI system instead of your propofol syringe, because you can, by copy pasting, you can show what would be the concentration of the wrongly inserted drug that goes into your patient.